Ja, that's a good age to watch Biathlon, I would say. Do you have anything you want to say to the arena people here in France?
Yeah.
From France?
Yes, Louis is the better biathlete. Louis. Louis,
Den har varit inne för en stund sedan. 639.
Och jag skulle vilja veta lite mer om vi har folk från Värmland där. Har vi några från Jämtland? Har vi några från Ostersund? Har vi några från Dalarna? Har vi några från Stockholm?
Welcome back to Ostersund, where day 2 of the opening race weekend continues on the IBU World Cup. The mixed relay is up next. 23 mixed gender teams on the start line, 4 by 6 kilometres around the stunning course here in Ostersund. 2 shooting stages for each athlete, 2 kilometres laps. And day 2 really has delivered so far. Back under freezing after a warm day yesterday. The fans that pack out the stands here in Ostersund desperate to see more action today. -1, the air temperature. We have seen a little bit of snow as well falling, which is always a good sign. And of course, Ostersund predictably unpredictable in the range. Alongside myself is former British biathlete and coach Scott Dixon. Well, Scott, our appetite for racing well and truly wet. What is it about these mixed relays that is just so exciting?
Oh, it's the drama and unpredictability. Some nations have 2 fantastic male athletes and 2 fantastic female athletes, whereas they lack the depth for 4 of either. And they're therefore able to compete at a higher level when you combine the 2 genders. So that makes it exciting on that level. The other level is relays bring a much different dynamic to the biathlon competitive sphere in the psychological realm, and we're going to see that play out today.
So just taking a quick look at the start list, France going on bib number 2, Norway 3, Sweden 1. Of course, great results already over the course of this weekend. They want to keep that going. We see Czechia down in 9th, and they're a team that I'm keen to highlight, Scott. You said, as we were talking in the build-up to this, one of your outsiders, they have achieved so much as a team over the course of the last, decade, I think it's fair to say, from that World Championships win in 2015, of course, standing on the podium in Lenzerheide last season. At what point do they move away from being outsiders?
Well, I think today we've got so many top nations that are vying for a podium. You've got Italy, Germany, Norway, France, Sweden. All 5 of them should be on the podium, and only 3 can be. So to say Czechia should be up there as well, it's like, yeah, they can do great, and they are my outsider team to watch, but they don't qualify, in my books, as a podium prospect in any sort of conventional race. Something magical has to happen for Czechia to get on the podium today.
And magic indeed can happen. We've already seen Czechia on the podium over the course of this weekend. Can they replicate their good form in the mixed relay? Well, the snow coming down, and, well, Scott, just how welcome will this snow be?
Well, these are very fast conditions, -1 and the humidity about 63%. The conditions out there are rapid. Now with a sprinkle of snowfall, it's going to have a slight impact on the race, and it's going to just make the tracks that little bit slower. It shouldn't have too much of an impact if it doesn't fall down too heavy, though.
Well, when you look at teams who are battling to be back at the top, look no further than Italy, and what a quartet they've put out today. Giacomo, Hofer, Vera and Vitozzi alongside them, wearing bib number 4, Germany. Just a Strelo leading them out, and it will be Julia Tannheimer, who we welcome back to the World Cup circuit, who will bring them home. Sweden, well, a strong lineup. They wear bib number 1. Just listen to the roar. Jesper Nälin, Martin Ponsaloma. We return as well after 21 months out of Lynn Gesblum and Hannah Oberg, bringing their quartet home. Emilia Jacquelin will lead France out, the reigning mixed relay and single mixed relay world champions, of course.
1 minute.
And Stromsheim on the first leg for Norway, the record winners as a nation in this discipline. And the first time that we're seeing Endel Stromsheim this season. Plenty of expectation on the shoulders, of course, of the trio that line up on the first row today. Can anyone, including that man Tommaso Giacomelli, who's tucked in behind Emilia Jacquelin, disrupt the order?
It's always exciting when Emilien Jacquelin is on the start line, and I'm excited to see how he takes this first leg.
All eyes on Jesper Nälin and Sweden, wearing bib number 1. Can they bring home the gold medal here in Ostersund?
Ready!
And the wait is over. We're underway in the first mixed relay of the season, and pushing so hard out of the gates is Stromsheim and Norway. Very quick to the front there, Scott.
Wow, very quick indeed. And of course, once that starting pistol is fired, the adrenaline or all the nerves are almost like instantaneously taken away and then given way to adrenaline-packed sprinting. But Stromsheim, yeah, like you said, fast. I think he settled it down. But the Constantina effect for those who are clustered towards the back up this very steep hill does actually have an impact that mounts over the course of the first lap. So getting out to the front is a sensible strategy.
2 kilometres, the length of the laps here for this mixed relay in Ostersund. Tell us a bit about the course here, Scott. What are the challenges?
It's horrible. It's a horrible course. It's not super technical. It's just the hills, particularly for the individual, are extremely damaging to the legs. But it's a fantastic course in the sense that it adds a lot of drama, and it allows those who are great climbers to really pull away. Just take a look at this part in particular. It's incredibly steep, and you don't really notice it from the camera angle.
The floodlights on as we've moved now deeper into the afternoon, and racing will continue into the evening as the snow continues to fall. We had a really warm first couple of days when the athletes arrived here in Ostersund. A couple of evenings which were full of rain. The tracks had to be regroomed after a couple of training sessions, but it does look quick after yesterday, and we did see a couple of collisions, a couple of challenges as well for the athletes yesterday. So certainly conditions on the up as we take a look at Tommaso Giacomel, and there is a man who loves to climb, Scott.
Yeah, Jacamel, such a fantastic athlete, and you can see him pushing the pace up at the front there. Jacala, of course, he will always stay with anybody who has the desire to make an early break or at least to push the pace. But yeah, one of those exciting biathletes who love to not bring the drama so much as be tactical, which of course, from a spectator's point of view, is dramatic. It is exciting.
Good start as well for Harjula of Finland on the first leg, up into fifth. Just looking at Jesper Eileen, he's tucked back in. Go through the last time check, the first time check in sixth. Just biding his time, staying out of trouble.
What a good team Sweden has today with Jesper Eileen, a fantastic biathlete. He's been in very close to winning gold medals at the Olympics. I almost said a medal winner, but of course in the individual he was so close back in Pyeongchang, and it wasn't just for his misses in the final visit to the shooting range where that fell between his fingers. But he is one of the talented Swedish athletes who's stood the test of time, but amazingly is probably the worst on the team, or at least best on the team, meaning Sweden has a very strong team here today. And could Sweden make it a double win? It's certainly possible.
Well, that's what they'll have their sights set on. Martin Ponsaloma goes on the second leg, and we know the pace he can throw down. Can he match it with the accuracy in the range? We'll have to wait and see. It's Tommaso Giacomelli, who we didn't see a huge amount of course, yesterday. The race for Italy well and truly done by the time he picked up the gauntlet. And this a really good opportunity for him to shine at the front of the field in a very strong Italian team. Of course, Lisa Vitozzi back in the squad. We saw the boost that she brings to the Italian nation, as well as this collective inspiration of the Olympic Games on home snow in February. And this is a quartet that is worth keeping an eye on, as it is the light blue of Italy, who lead the way as we come down into the stadium and into the range for the first time.
Yeah, it's so true, and I think another team very much worth looking out for today is Germany. They've had two pretty bad relays so far. Well, I say yesterday the females finished in 11th place, which certainly was not expected. But I think today, in this race right now, Germany has an absolutely top-class team and could very well be for a chance of winning today's relay.
Have a total of 5 mixed relay wins as a nation, of course third at Lenzerheide, the World Championships last season. They're dropping down on their bib numbers. Keep our eyes on the home favourite, Sweden. They're down by Jesper Eileen. Finland start fast. And they're going very well, incredible accuracy from the Finn Harula, who will be first up to his knees and will get away. Germany with a miss. Norway going well, 4 for 4. Now they're 5 for 5 along with France. Sweden just lacking a little bit in terms of the pace. Canada away, 5 for 5. Italy, Switzerland, Austria all going into the extra rounds. That's not the start that Tommaso Giacomelli would have wanted, but he is away and will need to do some work on the skis here.
Yeah, the wind conditions have settled a lot since yesterday. We can see that the accuracy has increased from the field as a whole, and we'll continue to see that as the race goes on. But then, in place of the wind will come nerves late towards the back end of the race, and the sharpshooters on the last leg are really going to have to focus. But once again, we do have from Norway, Tangervold, on the last leg, and I do worry about whether she's going to be able to focus on her final stand shoot.
And so it is Finland who lead the way. Tuomas Harjula, the Finn, he's just been caught. Might have the paces. An opportunity was seen to skip around the outside. This is 81st World Cup start. Didn't feature as much as he'd have liked to last season. There was quite a lot of rotation on the Finnish team, with opportunities given to the youngsters. And this time round there has been a lot of rotation coming into this season, and it is now the USA who lead the way.
Yeah, Jermaine really powering up the steepest part of the course there, deciding that he wants to get to the front I do wonder, I mean, he's a very fast skier, there's no doubt about it, but did he let the opportunity of the moment fuel him to get to the front, or is this some kind of strategy? Is he thinking about leg 3?
Well, he was just over 5 seconds down when he left shooting 1. Comes through the 2.8 kilometre mark in the lead. Maxime Germain.
That's a remarkable speed to be going at, and I really hope for him that he's just in exceptional form and he's going to be able to control the stand shooting, and that the adrenaline of being right up there at the front, something that he's not totally unfamiliar with, hasn't got to him. But that is all going to play out. As you can see, Emilien Jacquelin deciding that enough's enough. He wants to close that gap and not let anybody get too carried away up front, at least not without him.
Stromsheim following suit as well, of course. Everyone just taking those looks over the shoulder. Always slightly cagey, aren't they, Scott? These first legs and first couple of laps in a relay, regardless of whether it's the mixed relay or the men's or the women's relay. There's always that looking over the shoulder, trying to psych one another out.
Yeah, there's a lot of psychological games at play right now, and I think Jacquelin doesn't need to go up there with Germain. He doesn't need to follow this very early, somewhat unprovoked break, but he did anyway. And does that foreshadow what's to come from Emilien Jacquelin for the season? Is he going to be able to control those instincts to always be combative and wrestle with people there out on the tracks, as opposed to play the long strategic game? It's certainly what makes him exciting and such an amazing competitor, one who I really hope is going to come away from the Olympics with a medal.
Yeah, he skips into the lead here, finding his way around Maxime Germain, the 24-year-old. Saw across the board improvements last season. A best finish at the World Championships, 12th in the sprint, and of course today we'll be handing over to Campbell Ride, who, incredible at the World Championships, 2 silver medals, and looked ever so impressive on the skis yesterday, and really, really fast and accurate in the range as well.
What a pace. And they're still fighting there to play about with getting into first, and this is really, I mean, there's fast skis at the front for Team USA. That's incredible. But I'm so fascinated by what is the strategy, what's the goal here? Are the legs going to be able to withstand the incredible pace of that last lap now for stand shooting?
Well, all eyes on Maxime Germain. He now does yield to Emilien Jacquelin. Look at the hit rate percentages there. Just Estrello, of course, incredibly impressive. He's down in 6th as they come into shooting 2. Stromsheim starting very quick and very well. It's a miss for Maxime Germain of the USA, miss for France. Finland, can they take advantage here? Into the extra rounds go Norway. It's disaster for France and Jacquelin. Can he keep them out of the penalty loop? He needs to be perfect from here on in. Germany are away with just Estrello. And how things can chop and change. Finland now away after going into the extra rounds. They'll be joined by Norway. All eyes on France. Can Emilien Jacquelin stable the ship?
Big pressure shot now.
Sweden into the penalty loop, but France crucially are not.
Wow. That was Jacquelin keeping us on the edge of our seats there. 3 spare rounds for 3 missed targets. He gets them all. But again, did he just get dragged into a needless fight up at the front of the field that perhaps threw him off?
Well, just how costly will it be? France down in 8th. One more lap and then they'll go into the first exchange.
Now Germany doing such a good job up at the front. Very, very relaxed, calm shooting, but also calm in the very first lap of the race. Estrello didn't get caught up in any of that jousting for position up at the front. But what a pace these guys came into the range with. And look at the impact that it had. 3 spare rounds for Jacquelin.
And cool, calm and collected, just Ostrelo. We know what he can do when he's in the range, and it can be game-changing. And he leads the way by quite some margin here. Next time check is the 4.8 kilometre mark, and well, the gap looks to have closed at first glance, and it's Tommaso Giacomel who is on the chase here to ensure that he hands over to Lucas Hofer with his team in a favourable position. 4.7 the gap, so it's just closed. Well, it's closed by about half, and that's all down to the good work of Tommaso Giacomel. Slovenia holding on to a top 10 position as things stand with Lovro Planko. And fighting is just Ostrelo.
What a powerful attack there from Ostrelo, and you can see the effect, and Germain doing such a fantastic job managing to claw back time. Ostrelo doing everything he can to keep that gap that he's earned through fantastic composed shooting.
Oh, just look at the way Emilien Jacquelin has closed after coming out of the range 21.7 seconds down. He's now just 7.2 seconds behind the leaders, just Ostrelo, and he's not hanging around here. So damage limitation certainly being done for France.
And what a lot of pressure there is for Simon Kaiser of Germany, who's starting with the second leg for and out up at the front. Whether that is going to be the case by the time Germany get there, it remains to be seen, with a chasing pack very rapidly closing that gap.
And just look at Emilien Jacquelin back into the lead. Well, how has he managed to do that?
Wow, that's powerful, so powerful, and determination. He knows that with the unpredictable nature of his shooting, that he has to show just how good he is to make sure that he gets every single start slot that he thinks he deserves at the Olympic Games.
And this really has put the cat amongst the pigeons, because look at the way it's splintered this first group. And everyone looking around, they were hesitantly looking around on the first lap, and now it's who can chase, who can match the speed. And the challengers are there. And look at the speed in which they're coming into exchange one. It will be Italy who hand over first. Tommaso Giacomel, his job well done. Lucas Hofer picks up the charge. Eric Perrault is going out for France. Simon Kaiser for Germany. And, well, a relatively new face in Botten of Norway. What are the expectations of him on this second leg, Scott?
The expectations for Botten are certainly going to be that he does as good a job as any other Norwegian would do. They have such a depth of field that putting Botten there, putting Stromsheim there, putting any of their new talents, Uldal, Fry, you name them, they should all be basically a copy-paste of brilliant. And I think Botten has proven that he has the discipline and control to withstand the pressure.
So Sweden handing over in 17th, and that's just not where they want to be at all. Martin Ponsaloma, well, he needs to be fast, but he needs to stay disciplined, and of course that's something that has proven a challenge over the course of the last season in particular. Here's a look back at the handover and the chaos that was.
Great skill from Jacquelin there to weave in and out of the other racers to make sure that they made physical contact, which if they fail to do that, of course, then that is a disqualification. They must make physical contact for it to be a valid transition. Campbell White looking so calm.
He's got plenty of fans out there, isn't there? I do feel like after his performances, the way that he handled himself at the World Championships last February, the USA now have a group of fans from across Europe who are rooting for them and across the world as well. He's so charismatic, and well, when you just look at the competition he's got on this leg, he needs to be switched on, but of course whenever there's an opportunity for him to show his personality, we know Campbell Wright will do.
Yeah, and he made a good point on the Serious Problems podcast, saying something to the effect of, I don't need to do something crazily different and be all focused and lose my personality or anything like that on the day of a race, because and look at that, Campbell Wright, just as I'm telling that little anecdote, decides to bring some excitement, absolutely flying ahead, Botton not responding.
Well, we saw this from him yesterday. His pace as he worked his way through the field to guide the USA to a 5th place finish. He put on social media last night, the boys are fit, and if that is anything to go by, look at the rate that he's been able to switch on the skis and is absolutely flying. Was the fastest on his leg yesterday by quite some margin, and it was a leg that had Martin Ponsaloma on it as well, and I think that is a statement in itself.
Oh, for sure, and I think Team USA have some fast skis today. I mean, it's not a coincidence that those two athletes there, Jermaine and Campbell Wright, just flying. Those skis are working. Certainly going to put the pressure on Chloe Levins and Deidre Irwin for their 3rd and 4th leg.
Well, that's the aim, isn't it, here, is to hand over in the best position, as it always is, but particularly for the teams like the USA, they want to hand over in the best position possible for their last 2-legged athletes, and that, of course, will be Chloe Levins, Deidre Irwin, who will be watching on and cheering on, because this is quite some effort on the first lap from Campbell Wright.
And what this is doing is it's really hurting the rest of the guys on this leg. They started as a bunch. You could have assumed quite comfortably they'd all come back round in a bunch, but this is spreading them out, making those who don't have that fight in their legs do that extra little bit of work. And I'm speaking mainly of Hoffer there. He doesn't have the same kick that he did before in his formative years, so this will be hurting Hoffer.
But he does have the experience and bucket loads of it on the World Cup, and of course the major competitions, the Olympic Games, the World Championships over the years, and that will play its part. Well, what a sight this is. The USA leading into the range. Campbell Wright, wow, looking exceptional on the skis. Rockets on his feet. What can he do in the range?
What he usually does in the range. He's so calm, he's so composed, but this is so audacious. It does make me wonder if the moment has got to him. It's all going to be revealed now as he comes in to do his first prone.
So a 4-second advantage over Perot as he drops down to his knees.
He will be absolutely gasping for air, and the first shot goes down for Campbell Wright.
And that's a good advantage here. Italy, Lucas Hoffer catching up. It's a miss for France, but Campbell Wright drops one as well just at the end. Lucas Hoffer, the experience, wow, head is perfect. He's 5 for 5 and away. Norway will be as well. Now France gather themselves. Another spare used by Campbell Wright, but he avoids the penalty loop. He's away, but the order has changed, and now it's Lucas Hoffer and Italy who lead.
Wow, what composure there from the Italian, and showing that wisdom that only comes from years and years of competition. Campbell Wright, of course, missing the last shot. It would have been so special if it did go down 5 for 5, but then taking 2 spares to get that final shot.
Disappointment from Germany, who'll be into the penalty loop.
Wow, Kaiser there will be so disappointed. Such a high-pressure moment to be handed over to in first.
And a miss for Ponsaloma. But if he can limit himself to just one hit.
For Ponsaloma to come back, or for Sweden to come back, still absolutely possible with Gesblom, formerly known as Lynn Parson, on leg 3, and Hannah Öberg on leg 4. They can come back. It's just all of these moments, every miss is just a hindrance, and it would require now somebody up the front to make some significant errors.
So he's got traffic to work his way around. Martin Ponsaloma finds himself down in 17th. Came into shooting in 13th, so losing some key positions. Here's the missed shot by Campbell Wright. Now, what we're talking about, just before they came into the range, Scott, Lucas Hoffer, he comes with so much experience, that cool head. What he might lack on the skis these days, he makes up for a huge amount, and it is a massive asset for his team going into this Olympic cycle.
Absolutely, and the Italian team are somewhat spread around Europe for their build-up to the season, taking different approaches, and a lot of that comes by the fact that they have their own process. They know what works for them at this stage, and they're all doing that. It's their final chance here at Home Olympics, and their own preparation is vital.
Carlo Seppälä on this second leg for Finland, and going well. They sit in fifth. It's Jan Olaf Botten who leads the way as we watch Dąbrowski come through for Lithuania, Vidmar of Slovenia, all in the top 10. Badac of Poland sat there in ninth as we go back to the front of the field. And it is, well, now a change in the order. Campbell Wright just working his way around the outside.
It seems like the pace has calmed, and Campbell Wright, spending so much of his energy to close the gap, hasn't decided that there's any merit in trying to do anything crazy now. Focusing on getting his breathing under control for the shoot is going to be the priority.
Well, everyone around him now will know the danger that he poses on that final lap. But he has to get through the stand shoot first. This is 9.6 kilometres. Nothing, of course, to separate the top four of Jan Olaf Botten, Lucas Hoffer, Campbell Wright and Eric Perrault.
Yeah, Botten has quite an amazing ability to recover. His body can handle such a high volume of training, and the sort of training that would destroy the vast majority of other professionals, even his peers, and yet his body somehow manages to just recover at such a rate.
It's just his 8th World Cup start. Someone will see more of this season on the World Cup, you imagine. 3rd on the IBU Cup last season, but the 3rd Norwegian as well, with all of the top 5 on the IBU Cup last season on the men's side of things being Norwegian athletes. So given the lead as he comes into his second and final shoot is Campbell Wright. It's like the wind has just dropped ever so slightly.
His standing shooting at 86% is exceptionally good. He also can handle these high pressure moments.
So 4 pulling up together. Wright, Perrault, Hoffer, Botten. USA, France, Italy and Norway. Perrault strikes first and he's quick to the second as well, and the third. Everyone else left trailing behind him. A miss on the 5th though for France. Can Campbell Wright take advantage? Him and Lucas Hoffer do.
Wow. Wow, that is just the most incredible shooting there. Norway going 5 out of 5 in a slightly more composed pace, but Campbell Wright exceptional, Lucas Hoffer exceptional, and that is just such a good example of perfect biathlon. Perrault missing his last shot, getting a little carried away with the quick pace.
Seppälä dropping into the extra rounds.
Excellent shooting there. Getting out ahead of the chasing clump, in which is Sweden and Germany.
For Bukowski of Ukraine. Czechia rallying here. It's good so far, 4 out of 4. There's the miss. Germany recovering well, 5 for 5.
A good comeback from Germany. And
Sweden,
not a good
though.
day for Sweden.
No.
3 mistakes. That is brutal.
Well, he really needs to get the shooting under control, and it's once
Penalty
around the
loop.
penalty loop for
Wow.
Sweden, and well, their hopes of a medal really significantly fading here. We saw the work that had to be done yesterday to even get close to a medal, and he's stuck now. And it's 2 penalty loops, and surely that's Sweden out of the picture completely.
They are definitely out of the picture. It's a case of damage limitation now. How much can Sweden do to come back from terrible to being somewhat mediocre? But they need these points. At the end of the day, Nation Cup points do matter.
And one of the nations that's been collecting a fair few over the course of the last couple of days, thanks on a fair proportion to that man Campbell Wright, is the USA. And the race is on here. And this is a challenge that, of course, will be relished by Campbell Wright, who loves these kind of battles and is up against Johan Olav Botten.
Wow, this is going to be such an exciting end of the second leg. And Campbell Wright is just in amazing form. Lucas Hofer dropping off the back, unable to keep with the pace despite his phenomenal shooting. But Botten is putting in a charge that even Perot is not able to reclaim any ground on.
Well, we certainly haven't seen the best of Eric Perot on the skis so far in the 2 races that we've seen him in. You wonder just what kind of shape he is coming into the solo events next week. He had some good early season markers, particularly on the roller skis.
Yeah, and Eric Perot is still my absolute favourite for the overall World Cup win this season. And we'll see that come into play before the Olympics, I think. And then at the Olympics, whether he can maintain that form and come away with medals remains to be seen. Some athletes can do it, but they're very, very rare. Of course, Johannes Dingesbo able to do that. Quentin Fillon-Maillet was fantastic at the Olympics in China. But Botten now absolutely hurtling up this hill. And Campbell Wright doing everything he can to stay with him, and looks comfortable is the wrong word, but certainly strong, right in behind the Norwegian.
The USA find themselves in such an incredible position here as they prepare to hand over. Gesturing to the crowd, Campbell Wright was such a character, and one of the very big reasons why he's become so loved by those in the crowd. And well, that's a beautiful shot, isn't it? As you watch the coaches watching on, and all eyes on the USA. What a talented squad they have, and what a talisman they have in Campbell Wright.
And Lucas Hofer there actually catching up with Eric Perot and getting past him.
So into exchange they come. It will be Norway who hand over first, but it will be a fastest leg time for Campbell Wright as things stand, and I don't expect we'll see that changing. Knotten picks up for Norway, Levins for the USA, Vera for Italy, Brassard Boucher for France. And this top 4 significantly clear. It will be Finland who will be next through the exchange. Seppala just making his way round as Inka Hämäläinen makes her way out, and it will be a fairly lonely ride at this point, with Germany the next closest team, but they're around 20 seconds back at the last time check.
I think Germany are still one of my favourites to be up there on the podium. If not for a win, there's still a lot to play for. Norway, of course, could, with Tangervold on the last leg, anything could happen. She could be extraordinary, or she could be on the penalty loop several times. But now, with Janina Heiters-Waltz of Germany, I think one of the fastest female athletes on the track, we can expect to see the gap close.
Anna-Maria Lampic starting her leg for Slovenia. Krishna for Ukraine.
It's a high pressure moment for the Team USA, and now with Wright handing over in such a great spot next to the Norwegians, Knotten of course being one of the fastest on the field. one has to feel a little bit sorry for Chloe Levins. She has to now contend with the very best in the world. But what an unbelievably great opportunity for Team USA.
Yeah, absolutely. Hasn't broken into the top 40, but did set a season's best, or a PB even, I should say, in Lenzerheide, 41st in the individual at the World Championships. The 27-year-old, as much as you say, of course, it's new ground to be trodden for both her and the USA, but what an opportunity this is.
Knotten, she's in good form, skiing very well, did well at the Norwegian season opener, but also did well in the Loop 1 festival out in Munich, finishing in 6th place overall there. An unbelievably exciting race format.
Has, of course, spent time training away from the Norwegian national team as well, and their setup over the course of the summer. Had to put in a lot of hard work herself.
Sometimes it's difficult for athletes who have a different philosophy, a different approach that can sometimes be, if not incompatible, just not perfectly harmonious with the national team's team objective. And it's sometimes better for athletes to take themselves away, follow their own process, and it remains to be seen how Knotten fares now in this season, having done something like that.
A good waltz. And Germany through 12.8 kilometres in 6th, and she'll be desperate to close the gap, and of course has Lampic, who is so exceptionally fast on the skis on her heels.
Yeah, actually, Heite Schwartz managing to close the gap there on Lampic, who was a minute behind initially, now a minute 15, but Heite Schwartz was a minute 13 and closes it to 1:09, so skiing faster than the Slovenian, but also skiing faster than the Norwegian, who's up the front and perhaps is just taking it a little bit easier on this lap one. Easy being a strong word, but perhaps just pacing herself sensibly.
And still, we have a quartet travelling together at the front of the field, and almost a whole minute ahead of the nearest competitor the last time. We took a look back at the times, that was 12.8 kilometres.
But with Breza Boucher for France handing over to Lou-Jean Monod on the final leg, it's hard to see any other outcome but France taking this one. I think they're my favourites quite easily, but Italy, such a strong final leg, also with Vitozzi.
You can't rule out Italy, Scott, surely.
Yeah. I'm just anxious about the Norwegian lineup. Tangervold can be so exceptional, and she's certainly one of the most loved by athletes there are. When she won in Novo Mesto after a long comeback, everybody was almost united fans across the biathlon world. But it is true that she is unpredictable.
But then so is the range here in Ostersund, and anyone can be caught out, as we'll see Chloe Levins with the best prone shooting hit rate. She'll drop down in second.
Quick drills from Breza Boucher.
Start from Dorothea Vera. She's the queen of quick shooting, isn't she? And sharp shooting as well. She's 5 for 5, and Italy will lead. And that is exceptional from Dorothea Vera. Norway out, not too far behind. 2 misses for the USA and Chloe Levins. A miss for France as well, as Breza Boucher just stuck in her tracks. Can't get the rhythm or the cadence going at all.
Very slow shooting from Breza Boucher, taking her time. What seems to be 8, 9, 10 seconds between shots. Something tells me that her form is a little bit down, such that now she's struggling to control her heart rate.
And she
Chloe
will.
Levins doing really well there, getting her targets down, using some spares. But 5 go down nevertheless, and still in 3rd place.
Yeah, the USA remain in the top 3. There are challenges in their number coming from behind. This is Hämäläinen. Composed. Very clean and crisp shooting so far. That's 5 for 5 and a really
Brilliant.
good prone shoot from Inka Hämäläinen.
Great work from the Finn, but now Germany, another opportunity for them to stage their comeback. Heitje needs to get this next shot, and quickly as well, to be in contention. She manages, and now it's still all to play for, especially with France having dropped back. Well, this really has turned out to be a very exciting race. So much drama in such a short space of time, and still with much of the race still to come.
As we see Sweden drop down into the prone position with Ling Gasblum happy, she hopes, return after shoulder surgery and 21 months away from the sport. It's been a really challenging last couple of years. Can she stabilise the ship for Sweden and help them up the order before she hands over to Hanna Öberg?
Well, you can hear the crowd cheering, and that's the sound of hits from Sweden. So great work from Gasblum, formerly Lynn Parson. Oh, Knotten having a fall there, which I didn't notice the first time around. But back up on her feet. But Gasblum did fantastic to come back after that shoulder drama, and then managing to get herself in the Swedish season opener to the perfect 10 out of 10, third place, skiing very similarly to Hanna Öberg.
So fighting hard to close the gap is Brassard-Boucher. Levin's just dropping back slightly, although when you look at the pace of Brassard-Boucher and what we know she can do and how well she managed to bounce back and perform at the World Championships in Lenzerheide, it's not to be unexpected. The USA still in a brilliant position, just inside 30 seconds behind the time at 14.8 kilometres of Dorothea Vera, who is just gliding. And this is where, well, plenty of Italian fans watching on will say that Dorothea Vera is just meant to be.
It's such a fantastic performance from the old schools in the Italian team. They just seem so composed despite all the youthful energy around them, who are absolutely attacking on every single lap, making it as awkward and unpredictable as possible for what are essentially now veterans. Heitje powering up the hill, not managing to claim back too much time, just 1 second on Dorothea Vera, so that's really demonstrating how fast Dorothea Vera is up the front.
Well, they have good history, the Italians, here on this track. I believe their last win in the mixed relay was here in Ostersund in the 1920 season. It wasn't too dissimilar a lineup. It was the women who went first that day. Lisa Vitozzi leading out before Dorothea Vera, Lucas Hoffer on the third leg. And of course, Tommaso Giacomel, the new arrival since then into the squad, and while he brings so much talent.
Well, Lou Jean Minot is going to have her work cut out for sure. Brassard-Boucher managing to claim back 5 seconds since the last checkpoint. But Brassard-Boucher handing over to one of the very best in the world, second best officially, but only a matter of seconds between her and Preuss at the end of last season. Of course, a trip separating them essentially in the very final race. But Dorothea Vera, one of the most remarkable shooters, fast, one of the coolest biathletes under pressure. Hunted down by the Norwegian Knotten.
There is the odd Italian flag dotted amongst the crowd as Dorothea Vera comes into shooting 6 of 8 with a 4.3 second advantage over Ostersund. His job is done, Tommaso Giacomel, and now watching on. And what a view he has. Dorothea Vera off to a very good start. There's the miss. 2 misses now for Dorothea Vera in Italy. Norway miss as well. That's crucial for keeping Italy in the lead. But she's stuck now, Dorothea Vera, and she has to be perfect from here on in to avoid the penalty loop. Is this an advantage for France? Can they take it? Norway away. France and Brassard Boucher 5 for 5 and clean. And Italy left. Now Dorothea Vera can leave the mat, and she will crucially avoid the penalty loop.
Wow, Team USA now with an opportunity to maintain their 4th spot, a spot which if they finished with, they would, I'm sure, be absolutely delighted. And now 2 misses for USA. Two shots to get 1 target down.
And now the USA are away. And patience paying off. 2 misses for Finland. So the USA don't lose too much in terms of ground. The biggest winner potentially here could be Germany. Heitich Volz. She can go 5 for 5, and she does indeed.
Yeah, there it is. Fantastic from Heitich Volz. At the Swedish season opener, she had one of the fastest ski times in behind Hannah Öberg. Really on top form, great pace on the skis, and shooting very, very well. Now 1 minute and 6 seconds behind, but really not that big a difference from when she was handed over to.
Hasn't been able to break inside the 60-second mark behind the lead at Knotten of Norway.
Yeah, only gaining 5 seconds in total. It's not much for somebody who is skiing so well.
Let's keep our eyes on Sweden. And just a miss on the last for Link Gesblom. Coming into shooting though in 12th, and where will she leave? It will potentially just be outside the top 10.
Shooting her final shot there with a heart rate of 160 beats per minute. Really demonstrating how fit these athletes are, that they're able to compose themselves under such physical duress.
And now into the lead goes Justine Brassard-Boucher. Really fighting around this final lap for her. But the gap it's not big at all, is it? 3 seconds separating the top 3. Dorothea Vera's recovered herself very well indeed. A lot of the early signs at the start of this season and the season opening events were just how good Dorothea Vera looked on the skis, and she's been able to recover some ground. So just 3 seconds separating her in 3rd and Brassard-Boucher in 1st.
Lisa Vitozzi watching on with anticipation, knowing that her battle is soon to be underway as one of the very best in the world, winning the Loop 1 Festival. We can expect her to be closing that gap, but Tandrevold is not going to want to let that happen, and nor too is Lou Jean Monod.
And only now the Levins and Heitich Volz come through the 16.8 kilometre mark. Levins holding herself well here, performing well on the skis. Ski certainly a real strong point for the USA today.
Germany now have 2 4th places in the relays so far, and of course 1 11th place, which they will not be too pleased with. But now Knotten is trying to get past Brassard-Boucher. This is going to be a real battle right towards the finish line.
And it is Brassard-Boucher who rounds this corner first. Knotten almost losing her footing there, had to stabilise herself on a right leg, and now Dorothea Vera will take the turn.
Vera did put in a really good first half of this last leg, managing to actually close the gap from 4.8 seconds down off the lead to 2.9, but that's opened up again to 7.2, suggesting her legs are very, very heavy. Every second matters, and Vitozzi will be hoping that Vera does not drop too many more in the final 200 metres.
Side by side, Norway and France come into the final exchange. Knotten hands over to Ingrid Landmark-Sandvold, Justine Brassard-Boucher over to Lou Jean Monod. And the chaser, the 23-24 total score winner, Lisa Vitozzi.
And Lou Jean Monod has, I think, the best technique that there is, particularly in skate 2, this technique that you're seeing right now, where it's the same on both sides. She just gets her leg placement so well underneath her nose, her center of gravity, and that allows her to put so much pressure down through her poles, which is really the poles, the arms, the back. Those are the real driving forces in the forward motion.
And now, Chloe Levens has been caught by Heinrich Volz of Germany. So Germany will move into fourth.
What a fantastic job from USA there.
Yeah, really brilliant performance. Chloe Levens handing over to Deidre Owen. Julia Tannheimer picks up for Germany. Oh, so much experience, Deidre Owen. Can she carry the USA to another fifth place finish on this opening weekend?
You can see the difference in ski speed there. Finland just sailing by on the right-hand side of our screen.
And don't rule any of these teams out just yet. Marketa Davidova and Suvi Minkonen picking up the charge. Anna Gandler, who performed ever so well yesterday in the women's relay as well. So the chase could still be on from behind. And one team that certainly will be chasing is Sweden, as Hanna Öberg picks up from Lynn Gesblom. And Anastasia Kuzmina as well.
Gesblom there having the second fastest leg when you combine everything, the skiing and the shooting. Brassard-Boucher had the fastest, and Knotten with the third fastest. So a great performance there from Sweden. And Gesblom is back.
So still very little to separate France and Norway. And chasing, of course, Vitozzi. So we have the top three of the total score in the 23-24 season currently battling it out for the medals on this final leg.
Lisa Vitozzi, when doing interviews, so often talks about trusting the process. And now, of course, seeing the leading two ahead of her, will be thinking that she has to close that gap, but avoiding the temptation to do that straight out the gates in the first leg with skiing. Be composed and following her race plan that has worked so reliably in the past is going to be the process she is going to follow.
Now a heavier snow starts to fall.
Now with these three, it's so difficult to call. We know that Lou Jean Monod is very predictable, very consistent. We know that Tandrevold struggles with stand. We know Vitozzi also very predictable, very consistent, but with a little bit of time down. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Tandrevold's strategy is. Of course, her prone shooting is fantastic,
And Italy have lost just a little bit of time since the exchange, down 3.3 seconds in comparison to when they took over. And Lou Jean-Monod leads the way around this bend at 19.6 kilometres. Lou Jean-Monod pushing the pace out front. Lisa Vitozzi hasn't been able to close the gap at all. Well matched though. Our two leading women.
Irwin of USA only losing 3 seconds now off the lead. Jean-Monod in up to the 18.8 kilometre mark. So really good skiing from the American.
So into the range we come for a penultimate time. And final prone shoot.
Tangervold, an exceptional prone shooter, accuracy of 91% hit rate, and standing 67%. That means she needs to get all of these targets down and hope that Lou Jean-Monod doesn't manage.
Now joined by Lisa Vitozzi. There's the miss for Norway. Lou Jean-Monod perfect so far. And she's clean in the prone position and she'll be away. Lisa Vitozzi 4 for 4 and that's 5.
Phenomenal.
And now Ingrid Landmark Tandervold can join them.
All three of them can ski incredibly fast, and we're going to see what, quite possibly, them all connect on this lap. Lou Jean-Monod is going to make that as difficult as possible. But she knows that she has the advantage in terms of the stand shooting. Jean-Monod, 88% hit rate. And Vitozzi, when she was last on the World Cup, 91% hit rate. Formerly, the year before, 89%. So consistently exceptional.
Tannheimer and Irwin, the next to drop onto the mats. Just 20 years old, Julia Tannheimer. Added into 2 flower ceremonies last season. It's the USA strike first. Quick from Irwin and clean, and the
excellent.
USA are back up to 4th. Miss from Tannheimer. And she'll have some clean air now, Deidre Owen.
Wow, what a result there. And there's, of course, still one shoot to go, but Irwin doing her job absolutely perfectly there. Beautifully executed, perfect timing between every single shot, and it was fast. Hannah Öberg now in on the mat, and you're going to hear the crowd going wild for every shot that's hit.
She is over 2 minutes down though. But she's quick and she's accurate, and it's 5 for 5, and it's a perfect display in the range, trying to make up for the challenging performances earlier on. Still though, nothing gained in terms of the time. In reality, just 3 seconds. She's managed to eat into the deficit, but it's still well over 2 minutes. As we go back to the front, and well, a change in the order. Lou Jean-Monod's flying off the front, and so 10 seconds, 10.2 seconds back as Vitozzi comes around the outside of Tangervold.
And look there, like Vitozzi was almost inviting Tangervold to come through. Again, such a smart racer is Lisa Vitozzi.
And here is our leader, Lou Jean-Monod. 20.8 kilometres, has a 10-second advantage, and see, doing too much to damage the lead that Lou Jean-Monod has. And Tangervold now working together.
You can see those big, powerful strides from Lou Jean-Monod, fully extending her leg. Her weight is right over the ski. And those lovely, lovely long glides, maximizing the efficiency and the speed of the ski itself. And this is the moment where anxiety is going to be rippling through the hearts of every single Norwegian fan watching Tangervold, having no idea which way it's going to go. And that does sound cynical, and to keep mentioning it almost makes it out to be a bigger problem than it is, but just so many times we have seen Tangervold struggle with stand shooting, and quite badly in relays in particular. And it does beg the question, what was the decision making for the Norwegian team putting her on the last leg in the relay? They will have their reasons.
So 9.4 seconds the difference between Lou Jean-Monod and Lisa Vitozzi.
And now, if you get the perfect 5 out of 5 from Lou Jean-Monod and you get the perfect 5 out of 5 for Lisa Vitozzi, it's still going to be, it's going to come down to the final ski, on which Jean-Monod appears to be in exceptional form, managing to open the gap up by 5 seconds. And it's hard to imagine anybody with the ability to close a gap of 5 seconds on Jean-Monod and then open it up in a sprint finish.
Well, she has such a significant advantage at the minute in comparison. We haven't seen Lisa Vitozzi be able to close the gap by too much. 6.9 seconds now the difference between the two as they come into the range, and the flags look to have dropped a fair bit as the snow gets heavier and heavier this evening in Ostersund.
Big pressure moment now for Lou Jean-Monod. She's essentially shooting for the win. Lisa Vitozzi beside her, gasping for air. Is doing the same.
3 for 3. That's 4 for Lou Jean-Monod, a miss for Norway. And Lou Jean-Monod is away, and it's a miss for Lisa Vitozzi, and the win will go the way of France. Composed throughout from Lou Jean-Monod. It came down to the final shoot. Now the battle for the medals, and it's Italy who will claim the silver. There's no doubt about that. As Lisa Vitozzi pulls away, 3 misses and a penalty loop now for Norway.
What a shame now for Tangervold. All of everyone's anxieties have just manifested, and Tangervold will be flustered. She'll be disappointed. But I hope she can really draw on those moments where it was
It will
fantastic.
still be a podium today for Norway. Maybe not the colour of the medal that they would have wanted. They have such a significant advantage, these three, over the rest of the field. Still, only now does Deidre Owen come into the range, and well, she has an advantage as well over Tannheimer. Now all eyes on this brilliant battle that's been raging throughout, and it's the USA who just have the lead. Deidre Owen misses on the first, recovers well. Can she keep it going? She does indeed. It's also a miss for Tannheimer. Once into the extra rounds go Deidre Owen of the USA. Now it's twice. She needs to act quickly. Many times this is her final chance to avoid the penalty loop. Needs to steady the nerves. Czechia will go up into fourth, quietly going about their business. The USA now breaking. Suvi Minkinen on the final lap for Finland, and they've climbed well. Tannheimer once around the penalty loop as Sweden and Hanna Öberg have made a monumental climb over the course of the last two legs. Of course, nowhere near enough for contesting for the medals, but they've managed to get through the damage limitations in the way they would have needed to.
Good work from Hanna Öberg to bring that back. It's certainly not the result they'd be looking for, but a possibility now of closing two spaces. Irwin needs to be careful, so too does Davidova, knowing that 14 seconds behind her is a very hungry Hanna Öberg, quite capable of doing something special on her home course where she lives and trains on the final leg.
We haven't seen too much in terms of footage of the Czech team making their way around, but up to fourth, Marketa Davidova, it's great to have her back. Started, of course, last season so well, had to then cut her season short. Lower back surgery was required. She's now back, and it appears to be firing on all cylinders, and some incredible signs coming from that Czech team ahead of the solo events coming up next week. But of course, back to usual, and back to the top for France and Lou Jean-Monod.
And what a shame that Tandrevold will come away from this race with her confidence somewhat in tatters after a penalty loop again in a relay. What does this say to the selection committee now at the Olympic Games? Where do they put Tandrevold in a relay competition? It's such a hard choice to make.
Well, it was such a disrupted season for her last season, battling with heart and health problems, able to work her way back, and it just does feel that confidence is missing. And well, so many in the Norwegian press, Norwegian media have asked about what the question is, and even so many of the greats, so many who have done it before, Liana Bjorndalen, no one really has the answer, and that is the challenge now for Ingrid Landmark Tandrevold. How can she get back to the best that we saw her battling in, of course, with Lou Jean-Monod, Lisa Vitozzi in the 23-24 season for that overall Crystal Globe.
But what a race from France, and Lou Jean-Monod just with exceptional discipline in every regard, both on the skis and in the shooting range.
And through the snow, she'll glide into the finishing straight, and France, the world champions, will kick-start their season in spectacular fashion. Welcomed home by a mass of French voices singing her name in the crowd. Lou Jean-Monod takes top spot with France, and this incredibly talented quartet. Well, what can you do to stop them? Italy well and truly back. What a last couple of days it's been. A team rejuvenated, a team revived, and Lisa Vitozzi, a huge part of that. Her return in relay races marked with 2 medals. Can she get back on the podium? For the first time of asking on a solo event. We'll have to wait till next week to see. Norway, well, they battled and were in the battle for so long. They will still stand on the podium today, but questions around the shooting form remain. Positives to be taken, but lots to build on.
There's one thing that is absolutely for sure with Tandrevold is she will be back, and she will be back at the very top. The highest performing performance that she's capable of is a win, and that is at the Olympics as it is in a relay, an individual race. She's capable of the best.
Well, here is the battles behind, and it's been great to really give these clashes the time that they deserve, and it is Finland and Suvi Minkinen leading from Marketa Davidova as they come into the home straight. Minkkinen into her stride, but she has Davidova on her shoulders. We know the closing speed that Marketa Davidova has. Can Suvi Minkkinen hold her off? I think she'll just get there, pushing towards the line. Minkkinen and Finland will get there, ahead of Czechia, who rallied so well. A 4th place for Finland, 5th for Czechia, and a spectacular 6th for the USA. Well, a very challenging day in the range, in particular for Sweden. 3 penalty loops, 3 times around, and 10 extra rounds used.
Fully recovered already and enjoying the success. Less could be said for Team Germany, now in 8th place, 2 minutes and 24 seconds back.
Austria across the line, followed closely by Slovakia. The fastest of leg 4 was indeed Sweden. Hanna Öberg 8 seconds quicker than Suvi Minkkinen, and there wasn't really much between Suvi Minkkinen and Marketa Davidova. And of course, that sprint finish came down to 4 places, 4th and 5th. Lotte Lee across the line, bringing Belgium up to 12th. Certainly, Scott, Lotte Lee, one to keep a close eye on this season.
Yeah, the Norwegian selection races, she did such a good job getting right up there, just less than a second behind the leader, and is certainly quite capable of being in the top 10 on the World Cup in individual races, perhaps even on an exceptional day taking a win. It's not impossible.
There is the French quartet that on paper would always be so hard to beat. Italy, when you looked at the teams, certainly the next team to challenge in terms of recent results, as we see Switzerland and Lena Häcki-Gloss coming into the finishing straight. Two lap teams, which out of 23 starters is not a bad sign at all. Canada across the line in 16th.
Poland now coming across the line 5 minutes behind, using 16 spare rounds, 10 seconds for each of those approximately. But all of that is better than ending up on the penalty loop, which some of the nations around her have ended up on, such as Ukraine, twice around the 150-metre penalty loop. That's 300 metres of additional skiing. And you said it earlier, Ellen, that France was one of the best nations on paper, and it was hard to imagine another scenario where another team could win. I think France, of course, with Jacquelin at the beginning, was one of those unpredictable cards to play, but did a good job. He made it exciting, that's for sure. But 3 solid choices thereafter. And that is also without Quentin Fillon-Maillet being there. And I wouldn't want to be in the selection committee for the French team for the Olympic Games, deciding who to put forward.
Well, of course, Quentin Fillon-Maillet supposed to be going in the single mixed relay today, where he is back-to-back single mixed world champion, missing out through illness. So, of course, we'll keep our eyes on how he shapes up going into next week in the solo races. We hope, of course, it's just precautionary to give him the best chance of performing in those solo races. As we see our final athletes making their way around the last couple of bends, and they will come into the stadium welcomed home. The hardy crowd who have stayed out amongst the challenging weather conditions. China across the line in 20th, followed by Latvia and the two lap teams, Romania and Kazakhstan, not finishing. But out of 23 teams entered, 21 finishers. It's not a bad ratio at all.
China, you didn't use many spare rounds, but twice around the penalty loop. 8 spare rounds in total, meaning that outside of the 2 penalty loop incidences, they only had 2 misses. Now that's a sight that every biathlete wants to see when it's their own target, is a trickling over when half the bullet strikes. Some would call that luck, but at the end of the day, if you're shooting with such accuracy that even one of your less accurate shots results in a hit, then you've earned it.
Well, back to the top table move Italy. A very impressive start to the 25-26 season for the Italian quartet, who just seem rejuvenated and revived with having Lisa Vitozzi back in the squad. Of course, Tommaso Giacomel really hitting his best. He wasn't at his best this time last year. Of course, before that incredible result, I think was it in Ruhpolding, I believe. He had put on his Instagram that he was really struggling to find his form. He really came into form at the World Championships, of course, then great performances in Antolz as well on home snow. Different questions, of course, for Norway. We know what Ingrid Landmark Tandvold can do when she's at her very best. Still a podium today for Norway. And always the expectation that they will be fighting it out until the very end for the gold medals.
In this format today, men going first, women second, that's how it's going to be at the Olympics. So I expect that this second place Team Italy today is going to be the exact same team order that we see at the Olympic Games. Certainly a recipe for a gold medal. Wouldn't that be a spectacle for Italy?
Well, it's what everyone's talking about. It's what the athletes have their sights set on.
But I don't even think that's France's A team. I think if you imagine Simon and Quentin Fillon-Maillet in there, that's an even stronger French team. And yet the French team that was presented today is one of the best as well. It's almost like the second best French team is also the second best team.
Well, they can chop and change, can't they, France? And we've seen that with pretty much everything. We see it with the women's relay, of course, at the moment as well. They can chop, change, alter things and still get the best of their results. A 16th win in the mixed relay in their history for France. Bronze taken by Norway, with Italy back to the very top table. A brilliant silver medal for the Italians here in Ostersund.
congratulations and welcome back. Second day and second win. How did this one feel today?
You get easily used to it. So yeah, I'm really happy about my race today. My standing shooting was the thing I wanted to improve, so it was not perfect, but still I'm very proud of it. And my teammate made a good job, so I just enjoyed the whole race.
2 victories in 2 days at the beginning of the season. How much confidence it gives to you personally and to the whole team?
A lot, even if it's still different from the individual that's coming. It's a different type of shooting, but I think it's the best way to start the season, and I can't wait to start my individual season.
And then good luck in the next competitions as well.
Thank you.
Well, Scott, that's exactly what we like to see from Lou Jean-Monod. Big smile on her face, saying she can't wait to start the individual season. Of course, it ended in such dramatic fashion last time out. Franziska Preuss taking the overall title by just 20 points. And, you know, Lou Jean-Monod was in it until that final turn. For her to come back, a big smile on her face. And as she said, to start things off with 2 victories for her on the podium, this is the best way to start, isn't it?
It is, and she said she's excited about the individual races, and I suspect we'll see much of the same there in terms of quality of process, quality of performance, but she's consistent. Very rarely do we see her crumble in any way whatsoever. You can expect her to hit 80, 90, 100% on almost every occasion, and it's just a case of can anyone else match it. Preuss, of course, last season was able to, but I can't imagine with Preuss on her current form being able to match Lou on her current form.
Well, we certainly haven't seen the best yet from Franziska Preuss. Plenty of challenges in that women's relay team for Germany yesterday, and we do hope that we will see Franziska Preuss back at her very best, battling back, of course, from a hand injury as well, sustained at the summer German championships. Have to give a mention to Finland as well. Suvi Minkkinen anchoring the team, second fastest on leg 4, just behind Hanna Urbo. But Finland with their best ever finish on a World Cup. The previous best was 5th, and today they finished in a spectacular 4th place. All of that good work going on throughout, plenty of it behind the battles that we were talking about, but they really set off very well, and hopefully more to come from Finland this season, building on the good work and the changes that were altered and made last time out. Czechia finishing in 5th as well, showing their real ability to compete in these mixed relays. Here's a look at the Men's Nation Cup score after 3 competitions, and well, Scott, you mentioned it during the commentary there, just how important these Nation Cup scores can be come the end of the season.
Yeah, especially when you see the likes of Germany finishing in 11th in the women's 4x6 yesterday, and you see Sweden finishing in, was it 7th today, Germany in 8th today. All of these points accrue over the season, and it's not easy to come back when you've finished so far down the order. The likes of Norway, Italy and France are very unlikely to yield and drop races to that same extent later in the season. So it's just going to be comeback for Germany and Sweden now for the races going forward.
So no racing tomorrow. We will have a day of rest before we resume with the solo competitions, of which Lou Jean-Monod is very much looking forward to, and can you blame her with the form that she's in? We kickstart the solo races with the women's 15-kilometre individual on the 2nd of December, with the race starting at 3:30 Central European time. And our last piece of action, the medal ceremony this afternoon on day 2 of the BMW IBU World Cup here in Ostersund.
Prizes will be awarded by Mr. Tim Farsnick, IBU board member, accompanied by Katrin Ingvarsson, board member of the Swedish Biathlon Federation. In third place, representing Norway,
So Norway welcomed up to the podium in third, Andra Stromsheim, Johan Olav Botten, Carolina Knotten and Ingrid Landmark Tandevold, the quartet. Scott, you mentioned the Olympic Games. Of course, it's on the tip of everyone's tongue this season, but how different do you expect this quartet to look by the time we get to those games?
Well, I feel guilty saying this, because Tandevold is probably, as we discussed before, the most popular biathlete in the world, and I think that's pretty fair to say. But to be on the penalty loop today, to be on the penalty loop yesterday, not once, twice, but 3 times. Yes, it was windy, there's no doubt, but that was more times than anybody else in the whole field. And that really calls into question whether Tandevold is suitable for certainly the mixed relay. I think in the relay she'll make it for sure, but mixed relay, it's hard to say. With Shirkaida doing so well, Knotten doing so well, I think that it will be a different team come the Olympics.
Well, this first World Cup stop has really marked a new dawn for Italy, and one that has come at a very good time. An Olympics on home snow on the horizon, and well, plenty of very happy Italian biathletes and Italian fans as well watching on. You can't really ask for much more, Scott.
I think this is such a cool team, and I love the start order as well. You've got it's just so much experience actually from the entire team. Giacomo finishing 6th overall in the World Cup standings last season, and that really just shows his depth of performance, his quality as a biathlete. But every single person you're seeing there on the podium with silver medals getting put around their necks are absolutely exceptional, and I think that they are candidates for a gold medal at the Olympic Games in the mixed relay, and it's got to be the race they put the most focus on. Hofer with his speed in the range, composure, Dorothea Viera with the exact same attributes, experience, Lisa Vitozzi with her unbelievably cool and calm process, and Giacomo with his fiery energy up at the front and consistency. For me, these are my favourites for an Olympic gold medal.
It's a team that has it all, as you've just listed there. You know, every part of that quartet, it brings something different, and they really are a fun team to watch. But then again, so are France, and on paper, then reflected onto the snow and in the range. Who can deny them? Well, that will be the question come Milan and Cortina in February in the 2026 Winter Olympic Games.
And if you ask me the same question about the French team, is it going to be any different? I would say the same. I think Emilien Jacquelin is so fantastic. He's so exciting. He's so fiery. But he's got that unpredictable edge, and putting him first is fine. It's kind of safe. There's a lot of damage control that can be done by the following 3, and Eric Perrault being, I think, the best in the world for the men's field. He can undo a lot of damage, but Emilien Jacquelin, a lot remains to be seen with what races he will start with in the Olympic Games. And he's going to want to do them all. There is no doubt about that. He would not be a happy man if he was told to stand down. Gotta love the audience.
Well, I'm sure with a day of no racing tomorrow, there'll be plenty of sore heads in the morning from the audience, that is, from the crowd, who will no doubt be out enjoying themselves over the course of the evening, as they have done today. As we said, it's a really accessible course here in Sweden, just 2 kilometres outside of the city centre. And of course, no doubt, very swiftly we will hear the French national anthem sung a cappella.
A podium filled with unbelievably talented skiers, all of whom, or most of whom, are actually capable of winning gold medals in their own right. It's one of the things I just love about biathlon is the depth, or the depth and breadth of athletes capable of achieving the very, very highest result. Unpredictability is one of biathlon's greatest assets.
Well, this is quickly becoming one of France's greatest traditions, standing atop the podium, serenaded a cappella by the fans in the stands. Well, how long will we have to wait till we hear that once again? We will be back on the 2nd of December, that's on Tuesday, at 3:30 Central European time for the women's 15-kilometre individual. We do hope that you join us then here on Eurovision Sport.